Happy Friday, it's Kevin Kenny. Welcome to a new edition of the Build series. And our guests are very nice today. They just less than 12 hours ago, really. It's only 11 a.m. here in New York. Rocked the house over at a sold-out gig at the Gramercy Theater here in New York. Their new album, You Are Okay, is out and available everywhere today. And thanks to them, I know every single word to I Wanna Love You by Akon. Please give it up for the Maine.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
First off, good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good
You.
What a morning it is, album release day.
What
This
a
beaut
glorious
right here.
morning.
Yeah. Are we awake yet?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I thought that was coffee. I never knew if there was stuff in those cups.
On like talk shows and
yeah.
stuff, right?
It's water.
I always wonder if it's like liquor or if it's like, what is in there? But what is that? What did the bill
It's
give
water.
you?
It's
Wow.
water. It's
Yeah.
water. Yeah.
I thought we were
New York
hospitable.
tap water.
New York
That's
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're going somewhere. What's cool about this is you guys, as I said at the top, you played Gramercy last night, sold out gig. Congrats on that.
Thank
and
you.
then I asked while the video was playing here in the studio, I was like, hey, who was at the show? I thought a couple hands would go up. Basically, this is like an after party for last night. I mean, this is so cool.
Are you guys awake? Okay.
No.
You guys have fun last night? Yeah? Yeah, we're getting rock horns.
Yeah.
It's not even noon and we're getting rock horns. Whenever there's like a bare rear end, I like to start there. So can we talk about the artwork for the album?
Actually, we, excuse me, our friend Casey backstage asked if it was Pat.
And we wanted to confirm, yeah.
I said he has a similar butt.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the whole concept kind of came together pretty quickly. It was shot by our friend Dirk Mai, who's done, I don't know how many now.
Every album?
Yeah,
Every single
every
one.
album, so 7. And we've always loved taking photos and using them as covers, just because for me personally, I feel like it's great to get somebody else's interpretation of, you know, whatever creative vision they have for the music. I don't know if it can coincide or whatever they believe should be the cover. So with Dirk's help, he went out to Glamis
Yep.
in California and shot it.
No way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you talk about the importance of an artist's or interpretation of the record and then making artwork from it. So is it important that they listen to the record and then come up with the concept? Or
I
is that
don't
not
think
necessary?
he listened to it, but I definitely gave him the album name,
Right.
And sort of told him backstory on why I called it that. And
Yeah.
I mean, without diving too much into it, because I'd rather have people formulate their own
course.
sort of interpretation. But a lot of it has to do with self-reflection, a lot of introspection, and just like kind of looking into the mirror.
Yeah.
And facing whatever it is you have to. So.
Well, that makes me think that you guys were at a stage in your life while writing this album, of course, of introspection, of self-reflection. You've been doing this, quite a long time now. It's a testament to the hard work and the success you've had and the fans that are, here. What led to that, though, in your life, if you had to look back and say?
I think first and foremost, it's like, what do you do 7 albums in?
Right.
How can you create something new and exciting, not only for people that have followed you for 6, but for yourself, for the 5 of us. So I think right off the bat, we knew we would want to, challenge ourselves, switch it up, integrate something new and exciting. And if you listen to the album, there's a lot of strings. That's a new element for our band. And I felt like that and just being urgent and sort of getting to the point quicker and not being subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You called it the riskiest album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, compared to anything that we've done before, the turns that we take throughout the album. The album ends with a song that's 10 minutes long. So I just think things like that. We have a song like sandwiched right in the middle of the album that is just an acoustic and a vocal, and every other song is layered with as many instruments as we could fit. So we just didn't want to make a record that was just the same thing the whole way through.
Well, it's almost perfect, though, for like the music climate of today, right? Where like playlist is king. It's almost like, because I listen to the record, it's great. Like, it's almost like the main playlist, right? Like, you're not going to want just like one note the whole time. And I think you've given us that with this new record, which is really cool.
Thank you.
Another thing that's very like, on trend is like not having a genre. And I feel like that's something that you guys like were really early on and huge on. And I wonder how much of it is tied to where you're from, right? Because Arizona, like, maybe I'm wrong, but like doesn't really have a sound. Like some areas have a sound, right? You know, Jimmy Eat World, of course, is from Arizona, but outside of, you know, you guys and them, I can't really think of anybody. So was that when you were starting out, was that liberating that you could kind of be anything, or was that sort of was that intimidating in a way because no one had ever come out of that scene?
I think we've always been pegged as like a scene band. We've always been a pop punk band,
Right.
Regardless of where we were from. We were a Warped Tour band when Warped Tour was still around. Yeah. But I felt like we've always sort of like kept all the labels at bay. And to be honest, the sort of manic, like we go from straight pop on Broken Parts to like anthemic on Slip the Noose, which are both from the new record. I feel like that's just a testament to us really enjoying music and not being afraid of embracing different elements of music and different sounds. And so I think it really just boils down to
studying.
Yeah. We just it's all of our musical tastes kind of combined. So
We really try to analyze everything we listen to.
Are there any sonic influences that we'd be surprised by, you think?
yeah,
I'm sure.
Can we expose some?
I mean, I made a playlist yesterday. It was I forget for who, but it was about inspiration from the album. And Jonathan Fire Eater was a band. Tears for Fears.
I mean, but it would be different for everyone.
Yeah,
I think that's why the record kind of sounds like it does, because of like Pat's pulling something from you know.
And I think that you wouldn't hear necessarily the influence in the song. You know, when we say, you know, Tears for Fears or something, I don't think that if you listen to the album that you would get that from it. You know, it's we take things, and then by the time that it gets through the filter of all of us, and then gets recorded and played by us, it's just
we're
sounds
just
like the
really
Maine.
good at stealing.
Yeah.
I think after, you know,
Magician.
being the 7th record, I mean, just the way that we play together, we could literally steal a song and you wouldn't be able to tell.
That's talent. No, we had a band on recently, Tokyo Police Club, and they went through I forget what record they're on, maybe like 10th. Don't quote me on that, but they were saying like they went through a time period of like they were on great terms with everybody that was in the band, the original lineup, but they were just kind of had this moment of like, why are we still doing this? Let's like, kind of like take a step back and assess of like, do we still want to do this, or is this out of habit? Have you guys ever had that moment along the way?
Yeah, I think every record, at least for me, that I approach, it's, am I still enjoying this?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, fortunately, I still do. And once I get to that point where I don't, it'll probably be time to stop. But
Yeah, I think that's why we just take things in the direction that we're feeling, is because we want to enjoy it and have that be something that we just want to be a part of it still and want to feel it.
I think we've enjoyed the luxury of being an independent band for so long and had such great people that dig what we do, support us along the way, that have sort of in turn become our record label. So we don't have to answer to anybody. And I think that by people listening and allowing us to take chances, you know, it makes it exciting still for us and makes us want to continue it and, you know, miss all the stuff when we're on the road back at home and just, you know, keep grinding. And I think I don't expect us to stop anytime soon. So
Yeah, and we like that, right? Yeah. We're all in agreement.
Oh, yeah.
They're in a trance.
Sure.
Yes. More Maine. More Maine. Talk just for a few seconds here about the journey and the evolution and really the maturation as you've described you guys. You started out, and maybe you still consider you to be a scene band, because that's, you know, I grew up loving scene music, pop punk, whatever you want to label it, alternative. It's a genre. It's kind of a platform for angst and for youthfulness and a lot of things that we go through as teenagers. And then as you mature, of course, the fans are going to want that. That's what they fell in love with. But then you guys are growing into men, and there's maturity along the way. And how do you sort of navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, kind of what happened is there was a point where we kind of resented where we came from, and we felt like we were put in a box that we didn't want to be in, and it felt like, major labels were coming in and trying to put together bands that were doing what naturally bands like us were doing at the time. And around our second record, we felt like that was happening big time. So after that record was out for like 4 months or so, which was way too early for us to go start like working on the next album, because they had spent $500,000 recording our record. We were just angry, and we rented out a house, and we recorded a record on our own without anyone knowing, without any concern for how it would do or sound, or it was only for us. And that was the turning point. From right then on, it was just like, all right, we do what we want to do, and hopefully people like it, and we're still able to do it because it ended up working out that some people enjoyed it. So we just kept on that path, and that's where we're at now. Still, there wasn't one person outside of our band that heard the record until we finished it. So it was just, we're gonna do what we feel is the best album, and then we'll put it out and see.
What's your favorite track off the album? I know it's a cliche question, but I'm just curious to get. It's just such an eclectic album. It's an interesting question.
I honestly haven't listened to it since it's been mixed, so it's been a minute. But
When was that?
A couple months ago.
Yeah.
December or something.
Do you do that every record?
Yeah, I mean, it just, we spend months and months writing it. So I've sat with the songs for, better part of 10 months.
Right.
So by the end of the process, like, once we feel good about it, it's sort of, I need to take a break from it.
It's like, that is it. It's going to be,
I've been listening to it
step
every
away.
day. So.
Yeah. Jared and I shared a room last night, and
We were
he set
just
his alarm
blasting
to it.
Yeah.
So.
It's like, you want to go again? We'll just listen to it.
From the top.
Didn't get enough last night, all right.
I think the opening track might be my favorite.
I want to talk to you about that. Slip the News.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of Gerard MCR on that song, and I don't know if I'm
Okay.
just hearing things, but can you talk to me about just the creative process of Slip the News?
Yeah, I mean, straight off the bat, you hear very stacked vocals, which people have already asked about Queen reference. And
Okay.
I dig Queen. I loved the movie. But
I like that
also a
movie.
bit-
I mean, I think that the goal, I think that song specifically sort of embodies the whole record, in that it's very much a roller coaster. So like abrupt scene changes. So from the opening part right into the fast upbeat section into the big chorus. So, I think we just wanted to put as much into a track as we could, with total disregard for how it will play live. And obviously we don't travel with a full orchestral arrangement at this point. It would be a lot of folks, but the goal would be to eventually one day be able to do it. So,
Well, that was the other thing too. Being in the studio, we were like, we have all of these things that we can use. We might not be able to execute everything live, but we should do the best possible thing that we can do, given all the stuff that we have here in front of us. So I think that kind of lends to the more theatrical sort of thing. So if you're thinking My Chem, maybe that's part of it. But again, that's like we were saying, those influences that we have that maybe would be surprising. I mean, I'm sure that's probably one of them. So, yeah.
On the topic of executing songs live, you guys are doing something cool for the first time this year. You're going to play the breakout album, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, in its entirety live.
we actually did it.
Oh, you already
did it
have?
We
once.
did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
One
it's
time only.
Oh.
It's did and it's over.
So what was that like, though? Because, you assume maybe as a fan, or a casual fan, like, oh, they just know how to play all these songs. But some of the songs, they never even make the set list back in the day. So you
Yeah.
kind of have to learn for the first time, right?
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was definitely an arduous task. It was one of those ones, too, where we saw a lot of our peers or other bands doing 10-year sort of tours for an album. And I think that we always try to make it a point to not necessarily date ourselves by, relying on old stuff, and we're always very much focused on whatever's happening now. So we wanted to do it once, and we did it in Arizona for the second 8123 Fest that we put on.
That's rad.
And it was, it's really hard to make a set list now. Like we have a lot of songs,
Yeah.
and it's even hard to like remember lyrics, to be honest. So,
But it was also fun to go back and have like the knowledge that we have now
Right.
after doing it for a decade, and then like try to make those first songs that we ever wrote match what we're doing
but
now.
also
bring them up
not
to
really
speed.
mess with them too
Yeah,
much.
no, just
I
like
was
do
gonna
it
say,
correctly.
right?
Yeah.
Like, where's the line? Because you want to give them the nostalgic experience,
Yeah.
but then also, like, you guys aren't maybe the teenagers.
Sure,
or,
I think for us too, it was important to just to let it be what it was.
Yeah.
You know, I think like Pat said, we fought a lot of that stuff in the past, and I think that it's okay. You know, like all that stuff is who we are. It's part of our DNA at this point. So just to sort of shy away from it would be doing it all an injustice. You know, so I think it was really, I don't know, an important thing to get out of our own way.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
let it happen.
But that's a natural journy, you know what I mean? I think you
Sure.
need to distance yourself a little bit in the middle there. It's almost like you got to move away from home for a couple years.
Yeah.
It's always cool to come back,
Yeah.
you know? Every once in a while, maybe. Yeah.
We get to
Just
move
for the
away every
holidays.
few
Yeah.
months.
I joked at the top, I know every single word to Akon's I Want to Love You, thanks to you guys.
Yeah.
Karaoke nights around the country. Thank you. But how did that come about? I got to ask, just as a longtime fan. Like, who picks the song? Does somebody tell you that's the song? Do you
No,
go?
I picked the song because I'm way into hip hop.
Okay.
And I forget. We sort of had the idea, and then Fearless, the record label that we were on, sort of made a
compilation.
compilation
I think
out
there was
of it.
kind of
Punkos
a
stuff.
Punk goes
around
crunk.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
punk.
Not that I know.
Because
There's
we,
like that.
it's at that cover was like the third song that we ever recorded as a band. So it was like we didn't have very many songs of our own. We recorded two of our own, and then we
Very, a
recorded
lot
that
like
one.
the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two
third
songs, then
song
an
was an
Akon
Akon
They did
song.
a lot of covers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if they might have covered Akon. I don't know.
Beast of Burden is an Akon.
Yeah, I think that is an Akon tune.
Mick at the top, convict music. And you guys recently, kind of to tie it all together, more recently did another compilation called Songs That Saved My Life, and you chose to cover a Death Cab song. I don't know how realistic that, or literal I should take that title, but was Death Cab a very important band for you?
Very integral in
Yep.
growing up.
Totally.
We tried to figure out who was the band that we could all pretty much agree on when we were trying to decide on a song to do.
And
That was a scary
song,
one
yeah,
to
that
pick.
Was,
And that song,
because
totally.
generally with covers, we like to put our own spin on it and make it at least our approach to that song.
Kind of one of
and
the
that
first
was
times that
another
we
one,
just
like get out of the way, and hopefully
let it
people
be.
will sort of track it back to the original and find that song for themselves. And
Well, yeah, we got to like dissect it, like, and we're sitting there like there's a drum loop that's happening through the whole song. So we're sitting there and we're like doctors trying to figure out exactly how they did that, and so it was fun to experience, like, mess with that, and because we never really have done that where it's like that specific. Yeah.
Is there an added layer of pressure, though, when it's like somebody you idolize or look up
oh,
to?
Definitely.
God,
No offense to
Certainly.
Akon, but
no,
like,
No, I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, no,
We were
there was
very,
definitely-
I mean, very, very concerned about that, and they ended up tweeting about it. So,
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
so
Which-
that was
very
a
which
cool
big
was
moment
sigh
for
of
us.
relief.
Yeah, we're just-
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
very exciting.
We didn't ruin this.
Very, very cool. We're going to toss it over to Twitter really quick. This comes from @RenoSTL. Most fun song to play live off the new record.
I think the first one we released, "Numb Without You."
There we are.
There it is.
What are these usernames? I swear, Build has like the weird. I mean, I'm not insulting your fans, but we have some pretty interesting fans here. Reno @Hating House Hunting, and then it's like a cat.
Sounds like
Maybe they're looking for a house right now and just not having a good
HGTV.
Yeah.
Not an enjoyable experience.
I just can't find those house.
Speaking of build,
Oh, so you said the
None
first
Without
one,
You
None
for
Without
me.
You. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Or whatever.
Yeah.
I think
that'd
that's
be
the
good.
same for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
We've only played a couple.
Let's get away from the Hating
Speak
House
for
Hunting.
Jared right now.
Sorry, Reno. Let's get to the first question we have here in studio. It's going to come from right behind me.
Hi guys.
Hi,
Good morning.
So I noticed on the American Candy, you guys had a picture of a face, and Lovely Little Lonely, you guys had the hands and feet, and now for this album, you guys have a butt. So I wanted to ask if there was any connection.
Yes.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
No, we really didn't.
No, yes, for sure.
Yes, we meant to do that.
Whatever you're thinking, that's what we were doing.
And whatever, yeah.
Whatever the
All part of the
connection
master
is.
plan,
together.
certainly.
Just wait until album 10.
All right, thank you.
No, thank you.
Did you say your name? Where you're from?
Oh, I'm Amanda, and I'm from here, New York.
Nice.
What's
Were you
up?
at the show last night?
Yeah, I was at the show. It was a great time.
What was your
Always a
favorite
good
song that
time.
they played?
Probably